Hi, my name's Chris, and today I'm going to talk about Pro Motion's range of CineMotion lenses. Lens technologies are constantly evolving, with manufacturers striving to create purer, more true-to-life images, improving contrast, colour saturation and resolution. There are literally thousands of different kinds of lenses, each with very unique qualities. At Pro Motion we have some of the best lenses that Zeiss and Canon have to offer, but each have very different visual aspects and limitations, as well as varying in cost. So which one do you choose? I'm going to break down some of our lens options to help you better understand which lens is best for your production and why certain lenses incur more costs. Now first of all, we're going to go over a couple of lens basics. Now you may have heard of lenses referred to by a length or a number, for instance 55mm or 35. This number is the focal length of the lens. The focal length of the lens sets its angle of view. A lens with a short focal length, for instance 21mm, has a wide angle of view. And those with a long focal length, for instance 100mm, have a narrow angle of view. In terms of focal length, there are two types of lenses. Prime lenses, which have a fixed focal length and therefore a fixed angle of view, and zoom lenses, which have a variable focal length and therefore a variable angle of view. You may have also heard of lenses referred to as fast or high speed. Faster lenses allow more light to pass through them. The speed of a lens is measured in t-stop or f-stop. The fewer amounts of stops there are, the more light can pass through the lens, the faster the lens is. Now faster lenses are preferable for two reasons. Firstly, as they allow more light to pass through them, you need less light on your subjects or less gain in your camera. And secondly, faster lenses have a narrower depth of field. Now a narrower depth of field will give you more precise focus points, which means the foreground and background of whatever you're shooting will be more out of focus, and this will give you a much more filmic look. Zoom lenses obviously have the advantage of versatility, as they can cover many frame sizes with just one lens. Although zoom lenses have physically got more glass in them, which makes them slower, so they have a wider depth of field and are not so good in low light. Prime lenses, on the other hand, have less glass in them and therefore are faster, which means you can achieve a much better photographic aesthetic with them. Now let's take a look at some of our lenses and how all that applies to them. First, we're going to take a look at our range of Canon lenses. Now these lenses are designed for a full 35mm frame sensor and have EOS mounts, which makes them suitable for the 5 and 7D. Today we have our 16 to 35mm zoom and our 50mm prime. We have a full range of zooms from the 16 to 35, 24 to 70 and then 70 to 200. Now any one of these zoom lenses will give you tremendous versatility, but they're all quite slow, each with a rating of f2.8. Now the 50mm prime, on the other hand, is a super speed with a rating of 1.2. Now you may think there's not much difference between f1.2 and 2.8, but in truth there is an ocean between them. Now, if you take a look at the right side of the screen, you can see this shot taken with our 50mm prime with an aperture of f1.2. And on the left side of the screen, you can see this shot taken with an equivalent zoom lens with an aperture of f2.8. Both shots are framed the same, both shots have the same level of exposure. But as you can see, with the 50mm prime, the background is much more out of focus. And if I bring my hand up and move it towards the lenses, it goes out of focus much quicker with the 50mm prime. These Canon lenses are for hire separately, and any one of them on their own could present a low-cost option. The zoom lenses on their own give you a lot of versatility, and even the 50mm is quite a workhorse. Its angle of view is very flattering and makes your subject look thin, and it can achieve some medium shots. We also have a 14mm ultra wide, which is great for tight spots or if you need to get a big landscape. However, if you were to choose one of these lenses on its own, you could end up getting caught out on set, as you may not have the lens angle that you need. So these lenses can present a low cost option on their own if you plan your shoot meticulously to suit your lens. Next, let's take a look at a set of our Zeiss ZF primes. These lenses are designed for a 35mm sensor and have a Nikon mount which can be adapted to fit our 5 and 7D as well as our Sony f3. These lenses are the most cost effective of our prime lens sets. We have sets of 4 which have a 28, 35, 50 and 85, and we have sets of 6 which have the extra versatility of an extra wide 18 and an extra narrow 100 with a macro capability for getting extreme close-ups. However, these lenses are primarily designed for stills photography, so they do have some limitations. First of all, they have a variable t-stop across the range. Now there's one major advantage to this. The 50mm and 85mm have an f-stop of 1.4, which is easily the fastest of any of our prime lens sets. However, there's one major disadvantage of having a variable t-stop. The 18mm has a t-stop of 3.5 and all the other lenses are rated at T2. Now these are vast differences in terms of exposure, so you may have to change the lighting, add filters, change the level of gain in the camera, or iris down the faster lenses to achieve the same level of exposure, none of which are ideal solutions. The other major limitation of these lenses is their physical engineering. For instance, the iris ring has notches so you can't perform smooth iris pulls. The focus ring goes in the opposite direction to what focus pullers are usually used to, although we do have a follow focus that's reversible to fix this problem. And as well as that, each lens is a different length and their focus rings are in different positions. But the biggest hindrance of these lenses is that the barrel of most of the set extends when pulling focus. This means you may need to move your follow focus and matte box often to suit the length of the lens. This extension of length also induces breathing, the effect of slight zooming in and out when pulling focus. So you can see the ZFs are a cost-effective option, but with some limitations. Now the next lenses I'm going to show you are our Zeiss compact primes, or CP2s. These lenses are designed for a 35mm sensor and have an interchangeable PL and EF mount. The PL makes for an extremely strong mount for the f3, and the EF mount has an external bar mount to reduce backlash or flex when mounted on the 5 or 7D, which can be a problem with other lenses mounted on this camera. The CP2s have got basically the same lens elements as the ZFs, but in a digital prime body, which eradicates many of the problems of the ZFs. Most of the lenses in this set are rated at T2.1, with the exception of the wider lenses, which are a bit slower. So they're not the fastest lenses, but because the most commonly used lenses are the same speed, you don't have to worry so much about changing levels of exposure when you change the lenses. Also, all the lenses in this set are the same size and same shape, with focus gears and iris gears in the same place, and this doesn't change, so no moving of the follow focus or matte box. You can perform smooth iris pulls. The focus ring goes in the normal direction, and the focus markings are calibrated for ease of use. The body's rigid design reduces backlash and breathing, and its shape reduces flare. As well as that, the irises in these lenses has 14 blades, which is a lot. The more iris blades you have, the rounder your aperture, and a rounder aperture is said to produce a much more pleasing out of focus area, or bokeh. The CP2s are well-priced mid-range lenses with good visual aspects and are very user-friendly. The last set of lenses I have to show you are our Zeiss Ultra Primes, or UPs. These are the most expensive lenses in our CineMotion range, but the cost is more than justified. These lenses are made for the Super 35 sensor and have a PL mount, making them suitable for the f3. There are 5 lenses in the set, a 16, 24, 32, 50 and 85. These lenses have all the advantages of the CP2s, making them extremely user-friendly, but the UPs have some major advantages over all our other lenses. All the lenses in our range are made using extremely modern and high-quality materials. All the lenses except the UPs are made for the 35mm sensor, which is found in the 5D. The UPs, on the other hand, are made for the Super 35 sensor, which is smaller, which you find in the 7D or f3. Because the UPs only have to project onto the smaller sensor, the quality of the lens materials can be even higher, which means higher contrast, especially in the mid-range, which is really good for grading, better colour saturation, especially at open iris, less colour fringing, and extremely high resolution with a modulation transfer function of 90%, which is extremely high, which makes for extremely sharp images. All the lenses in this set are rated at T1.9, which isn't the fastest. But with higher speed lenses, you often get aberrations or optical distortions when you use them with the iris fully open. Because of the high quality of the materials used in the UPs, you can use them with the iris fully open without any fear of aberrations. And because all the lenses are set at T1.9, you don't have to worry about changing levels of exposure when changing the lenses. The lenses are set up to work particularly well with close focus, which can be very useful, and the focusing system uses floating lens groups which offer extremely precise focusing and eliminate aberrations and breathing to a barely noticeable level when focusing. These are definitely the best lenses in the Pro Motion CineMotion range, as they are both user-friendly and able to create the most premium images. It is important to note though that it's not just the lenses that will ensure visual quality for your production. Lens accessories are extremely important. We have a full range of lens accessories for all our CineMotion lenses, but none more important than the matte box. As I said before, to achieve a filmic look with a shallow depth of field, you'll want to keep your iris as open as possible. This means that in highlight you're going to need to stop down by other means. Now you could up the shutter or use negative gain in the camera, but neither of these options are particularly satisfactory as they could adversely affect your image. So the best method of stopping down light is to use a neutral density or ND filter in a matte box in front of the lens. ND filters are shaded glass which stop light without affecting its colour, so you can achieve the right level of exposure without compromising your image. At Pro Motion we have all the lenses and accessories to suit nearly all eventualities, and with new kit coming in all the time, our CineMotion range is just becoming more versatile. In fact, coming soon are some new Ingenue Optimo DP zoom lenses with PL mount, which will be our first zoom lenses for the f3 camera, so keep an eye out for that. In the meantime, if you want any more information or a quote, don't hesitate to call on 0845 460 9988 and see if Pro Motion CineMotion lenses can make your project more beautiful.